Chemist Warehouse replay screen. I was hoping we were going to see the last LBW from Pope, which wasn't given and wasn't referred. Saudis getting closer and closer to that off stop. I still fancy it. Hit Pope outside the line. Bracewell starts a new over, and that's flashed away. A flashing cut out to the boundary for 4 by Pope. He takes them to 21. 64 for 2. What is interesting, though, about those LBWs is quite definitely a plan to get route LBW, isn't it? And there was a problem for him a couple of years back. And New Zealand are sort of bowling to that plan. I don't know if that plan's a little bit old, though, because Route's taken the precaution of getting outside the line and getting down the pitch as well. Well, into Pope, comes down the wicket, just pads the ball away in the end to backward point, no run. Pope's moved to 21 with that boundary. 64 for 2 England. There are 24.4 overs remaining in the day's play. We'll get them as well, actually. 10 to 7 is the cut-off time today. It's an hour and 40 minutes away.
So I think you'll find Wagner will come on shortly here. I mean, that's a lot of overs for Saudi.
Bracewell in, and that's cut off the thick edge and runs down with a boundary for 4. That's not where Pope intended at all. He was looking to hit that through backward point again. But instead, with a thick edge to it, the slips off the spinners have been strangely wide in this match. Root was, and Mitchell is. We were talking about this and about Nasser Hussein's dictum that you put your left foot by the white outside line of the crease. And Mitchell's is well 2-3 feet wide at that. Down the wicket comes Pope, clips the ball into on the side. He gets an easy single. 2 fours and a single in this over so far. Off Bracewell, the 4 balls we've had. 69 for 2. Pope to 26 now. A couple of balls remaining. Are you detecting much turn from?
There's a wee bit there for Bracewell, yes, and there's a little bit of a variable bounce too from outside the off stump.
Bracewell's in. That's swept by Root out to deep square leg on the ground. Pick up a single. 70 for 2. Root to 4.
That's where you'd like to see Bracewell just coming over and bowling. You know, that one that goes down and descends quickly. So instead of the angled seam to 45 degrees, it's one that points towards the batsman, and you get that Nathan Lyon effect where it drops with great, speed.
Bracewell in, that's driven firmly through mid-off. Beautiful shot back from Pope. He used his feet, danced down the wicket. Let's make it all the way to the boundary. In front of the new stand, the new rugby stand. An expensive over from Bracewell comes from it. England to 74 for 2.
Hey, welcome to Daryl's Dream Interpretations. So, what's your dream?
So last night I met a New Zealander in my dream, that's why I'm here, and he lent me his polar fleece and we climbed a glacier and did some mountain biking, and then we ate oysters with 2 seals called Peter and Jackson who knew heaps about Sauvignon Blanc. What does it mean?
Oh, book a ticket to New Zealand.
That's it?
You bet. Stop dreaming and go. Visit newzealand.com. 100% pure New Zealand.
Welcome back. Let's be on SEN and SENZ. Don't miss mornings with Ian Smith, the perfect place to get the wash up from the cricket. Weekdays from 9 a.m. on SENZ. So Jeremy Coney's got his wish. He's been allowed to leave the box. No, he's got the wish that Neil Wagner is coming on to bowl. And as one Kiwi legend departs, another Watson sits on that warmed seat. It's Craig Millen. Hello.
Hello, Daniel. This is our time of the day, really, isn't it?
It is our time.
Thinking back to yesterday, and when we get thrown in the chair to talk about all things Sullivan cricket, really. But Neil Wagner, good time to bring Neil Wagner into the attack.
And they need Wagner to bowl a hefty spell here. You feel, don't you?
They do. That's for sure.
I suppose, if Bracewell can wheel away, that's fine. But unfortunately, his last over went for 14. Well, 4 overs for 28. Not bowled badly, but England had got after him as Wagner is in. That's defended by Root to the offside. No run. Jeremy Cody was wondering why only 3 men in the offside for Bracewell. It sort of makes it a bit easier for England to try to just access that offside, because if you get it slightly wrong, you've only got a slip and a sort of wide-ish mid-off and a man on the kind of cut. That's it.
I guess it's they want the England players ideally hitting against the spin through that area, but you've got to be precise, like Jeremy mentioned, in terms of your length. Otherwise, it's an easy place to score.
Wagner is in. That's driven by Root up to mid-off. Wide mid-off. Williamson does the fielding.
So the plan is sound, but then it's the execution that's the key. Have you got a bowler that is so precise and protecting his length, so it looks like you can drive through there, a bit like Zach Crawley got out. He thought he could get on top of it and drive through mid-off, and it just sat up out of the foot mark just enough to balloon to mid-off. So that's the plan that they're going with, but they have to be careful because you can leak runs quite quickly if you don't get it right.
Now the ball is being queried again. Wagner's given it to umpire Richard Kettleborough, and well, I wonder, he might get his wish here. He is going to get his wish, and because of that, I think they look like they might be taking drinks. Either that or they're all coming to mob the umpire in thanks, which I don't think is the case. The players are rushing off towards us. It's not rain, I assure you of that. Ollie Pope's rushing off as well. He may be having a comfort break here. And the slow, stately progress of third umpire David Milnes. He's the fourth umpire, I think he is, as he walks out with the attaché briefcase, inside which, you ever seen Pulp Fiction?
No.
Well, there's a mysterious case in there. And it contains who knows what. There's much speculation about what's inside that case. And my view is it's actually a bag of cricket balls.
Jukes?
Yeah. Badly stitched cricket balls that Samuel L. Jackson is looking at. Have I done slightly too many references of is that great, man? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break because drinks are definitely now coming on the field because the attaché briefcase of doom is out there, and it'll take a little while. So we'll head to a short break.
So what sporting events are you excited for? AFL, NRL State of Origin,
He's going to score the try.
spring racing,
Very elegant. The mighty bear wins the cup by
international touring sports events.
finals. Goal saved magnificently.
Ballpark Entertainment can get you there. Ticketing, corporate suites and money can't buy experiences. Get the best access to the best sporting events with Ballpark Entertainment. Making memories. ballparkentertainment.com.au.
Needed a neat drive, and this time he drives well. Thickish outside part of the back, but enough on it to lock the ground. Races away to back for the point. 4 runs, and England march on. Balls driven beautifully, but there could be trouble at the ball then. Oh, he's out. He's gone. Superb work. The New Zealand captain there, diving away to his left. And Alex Lees finds himself run out of the non-strikers end.
Welcome back. Test cricket on SEN. The SEN Network, in association with Resine, the Paints Kiwis Trust. The drinks break is still ongoing, but coming to the end of it, the 3 umpires in question, 2 standing umpires and the 4th umpire, David Milnes, they're choosing a ball, deciding which one they will use to replace yet another ball that's gone out of shape. As we look at the Chemist Warehouse replay screen and see the dismissal of Zach Crawley, and it wasn't a bad bit of bowling from Bracewell, but it looks like an ugly shot. And he cut a rather doleful dash, did Zach Crawley, when he walked off. He must be wondering about his test place, I would think, because it just happens too often. Now, Craig McMillan's come in armed with a whole bunch of stats on, the numbers of New Zealand's top order. You want to run through a few?
Well, the main one is the amount of runs scored in the series. Mitchell and Blundell scored 921 runs between them. And the rest of the New Zealand batters throughout the series scored 894.
Really?
So those two players scored more than the rest of New Zealand batters all added up together, which is quite remarkable. It's over 50% of the runs. And it just shows that how ineffective that New Zealand top order have been, I guess, in terms of the output of runs. And what a great job Daryl Mitchell and Tom Blundell have done of keeping New Zealand in these test matches and also giving them an opportunity to win.
It's not what you'd have thought at the start of the series, is it? If you look at players like Henry Nicholls, Kane Williamson, Tom Latham, who's been one of the standout opening batters in world cricket for the last few years.
Well, I think New Zealand would have thought that was one of their strengths over England, was their top order batting. But that obviously hasn't played out quite how they thought. Their top five, I think, they would have thought, we've got a better top
as
five.
A matchup,
as a matchup, that hasn't quite worked. I mean, England's hasn't been great either. Joe Root's been the standout. But even Ollie Pope scored a test match 100 as well, isn't he? So
Neil Wagner is coming in. We're resuming after the drinks break, and he's driven first ball to a diving Kane Williamson, who pulls off the stop by Root. And there is no run.
Now it's up to the bowlers to get New Zealand out of trouble. Somehow they have to try and find 10 wickets.
They've got 2 of them, so they're going in the right direction.
They have. Trent Boult just a short spell of 5 overs to begin, and then Tim Southee a longer spell of 8. But these are the 4 bowlers that New Zealand have. Daryl Mitchell, I guess, can bowl a few.
Wagner into Root, who defends on the front foot, pushes into the covers. There is no run. We're going to make an unorthodox halfway through the over bowling change here at the commentary box. I'm going to make way for Nikesh Regani.
Well bowled, Daniel, on your way. Yeah, Neil Wagner's going to be crucial here. Picked up 2 wickets in his first over in the first innings, and then got a little bit of tap. So he's going to have to come to the party with some wickets, as is Michael Bracewell. So a good start by Bracewell. Still going at 7 and over, which is a concern though.
In comes Wagner to Root, who leaves alone outside the off stump.
Talked about how England have looked to take Michael Bracewell out of the New Zealand bowling attack by going after him. He's been expensive. So if England can do that, then New Zealand are down to 3 bowlers with a part-timer, makes it very difficult.
That is the reason why 296 might not seem as stiff as you would normally think it would be in any conditions anywhere in the world. Final innings of a match. And comes Wagner once more to Root, who's driving square as far as backward point. No run.
I'm going to be really interested, Nikesh, to see how Ben Stokes plays. After what we saw in the first innings, where it was all-out aggression, just to see the tempo that is he going to continue on like that, or is he just going to pull it back a touch?
Seems to be the way he's going to go, wear his heart on his sleeve, just go out playing his shots, expressing himself. But you're right, it depends on the situation of the game when he comes in. Can't afford to throw his wicket away like somebody like a Michael Bracewell did, playing in that New Zealand innings. Wagner in again to Root. It's full, it's an in-swinger, and it's worked away beautifully out towards deep mid-wicket. 4 runs. Just a flick of the wrists, slightly over-pitched from Wagner. There was a little bit of tail at the last minute into the legs, towards the toes of Root. Beautifully played. 4 more. End of another over. England 79 for 2.
On the SEN app, check out the SENW channel with stars of women's sport at home and abroad. Daisy Pearce, Katie Brown, Stephanie Brants. SENW channel,
We cover AFLW, Rugby League, W League, netball, cricket, and track the female stars of horse racing and more.
for the latest news, interviews, and catch-up podcasts with the biggest names in women's sport. Jump on the SENW channel. Download the SEN app now.
Michael Bracewell then to continue from the far end into Pope, who's reverse sweeping and doesn't get anywhere near the desired contact, but it trickles away in front of point and they get a single, almost off the cue end of the bat perhaps. Another single though, 80 for 2, England. Target 296. Bracewell delivers to Root, who reverse sweeps well and hard and all the way for 4. It went fine. There was a man placed there. And a sort of in-between backward point and short third, a little bit squarer than a short third would normally be, and it's straight into the gap, races away.
Saw Daryl Mitchell play this a number of times facing Joe Root. Joe Root played it off the first ball he faced this innings, but that time he got a perfect position, got down low, got on top, picked his spot. Means that the man behind point, which is Neil Wagner, has come a lot finer. So now there's a gap almost on point. If Joe Root wants to just ease the ball there or pick up a single.
Bracewell tries again. This time Root's back and defending into the leg side. No run. 212 runs there is the equation for England. 8 wickets in hand. The crowd have just started to pick up a touch, with these two putting on 33 together, unbroken as things stand. Bracewell delivers again. Another reverse sweep attempted, and that is off the edge of the bat. Somehow trickles away, almost off the back of the bat, towards a short, fine leg. In the end, no run. So Root not quite getting that one. Bracewell fires one in again, and this time Root works it around the corner, but straight to the man. Another dot ball. One left in the over, and Bracewell, he's not bowled badly here. Root, of course, a brilliant player off spin. Bracewell not making things particularly easy. He comes, and Root is back and edge this. In between the keeper and the slip, and all the way to the boundary for 4, right in front of us. He went to have a dab and then almost pulled back and out of the shot, looking to leave it at the last moment. And who'd you put that one down to? Was it Blundell? I mean, he was moving leg side, so it's nobody's fault. It's just one of those things. It's not a case of the slip fielder even being too square, because it's just one of those. It was too quick past the gloves of Blundell, almost too high for him as well, and it races away for 4. Just those little New Zealand's way, are they?
I think slip's still too wide. Got to be honest.
He wouldn't have got that. Even
he is still too wide. He's in a similar position to where Joe Root was. That one has gone quite fine, but at least he would have had an opportunity to throw out an arm. Because he's so wide, he had no opportunity there. Nice piece of bowling, too, by Michael Bracewell.
Wagner to continue then. This is full and wide and driven to short cover, no run.
We often talk about where that left foot should be for the first slip. Is it the... So talk about the return crease line. You want your left foot on that. Mitchell's on the other side of it still. He's got to come finer, because that's generally the edge with the new hard ball. The ball will go fine, it won't go wide.
Wagner comes in, delivers again. This is left alone. Bit of extra bounce as it goes through to Blundell. 88 for 2. Does it make a difference when the keeper's standing up and it's a spinner bowling?
No, there's specific areas to be, or zones, whether it's a left armour or a right arm off spinner. But both teams have had their slip wide. When you think of all the nicks that have gone, like 4 or 5 have actually gone through between keeper and first slip, which is most unusual.
Delivers again. This is on the legs of Pope, who works to short mid-wicket for no run.
We'll get a better look next over, won't we, when he comes back into position, just to see if he is straightened up or whether... But you can't keep getting beaten on the inside. You really can't. Went quickly, it was bowled quickly, so you're right in saying that whether he was a little bit finer still would have been one heck of a catch. But he would have had a better opportunity to at least throw an arm, a hand out to see if he could get something on it.
Joe Root as well, so absolutely massive moment it could have been as Wagner is in, and this time it's off the leading edge and down towards mid-off. Gets himself a single. Ollie Pope didn't know too much about that one, looking to turn it into the leg side. Chemist Warehouse replay. And, just almost scooping it up, but safely. No fielders close by.
He's trying to hit that on the leg side, though, and so he's closed the bat face too early, and it's brought that leading edge into play. Luckily for Ollie Pope, it just lobbed sort of short of mid-off, but he's just got to be careful because the ball is holding in the surface just a touch.
Wagner runs in once more, delivers, and Root leaves alone. Good shape, actually, away from Root, but more exaggerated movement after it had passed him already. Pope on to 32 then from 40 deliveries. Root 16 from 29. Just into the 20th over of this innings, 89 for 2 already.
Sort of what we've come to expect from England, though, isn't it, in terms of scoring quickly. What did they go? 5.37 in the first innings.
Yes.
After being 50 for 6.
Wagner, final ball of the over is into Root, who's off the back foot punching towards point. Well fielded, no run. Dot ball to finish off the 20th over of the innings. So England's target 296. They are 89 for 2.
In footy, we love hangers, and so do Hang My TV. Get your TVs up on the wall during Hang My TV's end of financial year sale. Got 2 TVs? For a limited time, receive 20% off your second TV installation. Terms and conditions apply. What are you waiting for? Call 1300 Hang My TV. Details at hangmytv.com.au. Remember, like the song says, hangmytv.com.au. Hang My TV, that's what we do.
SENZ Test Cricket for Razine. A reminder that you can win a $25 food and drink voucher thanks to the Good Spirits Hospitality Group. Check out the Fox Auckland's #1 sports bar or any of the other 10 venues. You can text us if you're listening in New Zealand on 8833. Tell us who you are and where you're listening from.
Daryl Mitchell's just come tighter. Kish, just tighter.
A little bit as Bracewell comes in and Pope is off the back foot, punching through extra cover. Past the diving Kane Williamson and all the way to the boundary for 4 more. Just opening up the face and touch there was Pope. Wasn't all that short from Bracewell, but he was quick to move back, transfer his weight, allow himself just that opportunity to hit it square. Very low, that one as well.
Way too short. You've got to control your length so well when you've got a field set like this. So many gaps on the offside. Kane Williamson is almost like a very wide mid-off. He's going to cover now. So now there's actually no mid-off fielder. A cover, no point.
Bracewell in once more. This is a leg side delivery. Pope works it round the corner. Can't get it past short flying leg. No run.
The problem is that you actually want Bracewell bowling outside off stump, turning back in, bringing the stumps into play. It's hard to do with this field.
Bracewell delivers again, and this is a quicker one, which is dabbed into the pitch by Pope.
So I remember talking to Stephen Fleming, who's one of New Zealand's best slip fielders, and he always talked about his left foot being in line with the return crease line, right next to the keeper.
Yep.
You can see the gap, the difference.
This is worked away to short mid-wicket by Pope. No run once more. Yeah, there's still a gap.
There is quite a big gap, and that's roughly where those nicks have been going. So quite happy for Mitchell to take another half a metre step left so that he's not going to get beaten on the inside. And if an edge goes up the other way, he's still got a chance.
Bracewell again fires one in, and Pope just knocks it back to him in his follow through. Looking to bowl a little bit quicker these last few deliveries. Bracewell just firing it in, almost T20 style.
And the quicker he's bowling, the finer you have to come, because the nick will go finer the quicker that you bowl.
Another one, slightly slower this time, and dabbed into the ground towards short leg. End of the over. England 93 for 2, chasing 296. He's not bowled terribly here. There's been the odd bad ball and probably too many of them. He's 1 for 41 off 6 overs, and you need a spinner not only to be able to help you take wickets in a final innings here, but to give you that degree of control. And it's not his fault. He's not a frontline spinner. It's probably the team selection and the fact they haven't got a frontline spinner, but they haven't got any degree of control from one end at the moment, have New Zealand?
No, he's going at 6.83, isn't he, Michael Bracewell? So he's creating opportunities, though, which is good. has already picked up a wicket, got Zach Crawley and found Joe Root's outside edge that went between keeper and first slip. So creating, but you're right, needs to bring that run rate just down a touch.
Wagner into Root, who's forward and defending into the offside for no run. It looks so easy when he's out there, Joe Root. Of course, there was that opportunity, the edge, as you mentioned, of the bowling off Bracewell, which went very fine. I suppose it's even more of a reason for you to be finer when a spinner is bowling, because it's going to be difficult for the keeper to take some of those edges, because sometimes they are heading down the leg side and the edge comes, they can't change direction quickly, and you're going to get those fine balls in the air. Wagner is full and pushes only as far as mid-off. There is no run.
Can't remember a test match where I've seen so many nicks off spinners go between keeper and first slip. I really can't.
I remember there used to be a medium pacer who played in our club team. I was about 18 or 19. Keeper used to always stand up to him. And I was always told to stand very, very fine. And I used to find it difficult because I couldn't see the ball.
Correct.
And it was very last minute. But I actually got a few catches in that position because I was fine. Wagner is full, again pushed by Root to mid-off, and there is no run. So I see the exact reasoning behind it. I mean, you've got to have good reactions because you often don't see the line of the ball until very late. But you will get more opportunities the finer you are, because the keeper just can't react in time, especially if it's a medium pacer or quicker delivery from a spinner, or a thickish edge when the ball's heading down the leg side. They are going to come in that region, and you'd rather give yourself that opportunity, because you can always dive away towards your right if it goes the other side.
For sure.
No ball signal, so Wagner comes in, tries again, and this is pushed to mid-off. There is no run, just overstepping with that previous one. 94 for 2 now, England.
Well, it might be something that happens in this innings if Daryl Mitchell gets a bowl. There might be times when Tom Blundell comes up to the stumps, try and keep the batter in his crease to bring LBW into play. Because quite often when you're facing a medium pacer like a Daryl Mitchell, you'll bat outside your crease, get a good stride forward. It's very hard to get an LBW. So the keeper might come up to the stumps and actually try and hold you behind the crease.
Wagner charges in once more and again gets Root driving, but only as far as Williamson at mid-off. Good contact with bat on ball so far in the over, but no runs for Root. Won't be too fussed about that. Plenty of time left in this game. We'll try and get 19 overs bowled after this. Rest of the day, and then all of tomorrow to come as well. The forecast looks pretty good once more. Maybe a touch of the wet stuff around in the morning as Wagner runs in, and this is just left alone by Root, not interested in that one outside the off stump.
I hope the weather is fine, because it's free tomorrow, isn't it? So it should be another full house like we had at Trent Bridge, which is a really special day of Test cricket.
Brilliant initiative that by both clubs, Nottinghamshire and Yorkshire here as well, just trying to get the full capacity in for that final day. It's of course a Monday, a working day, a school day, but if there is any possibility you can get the day off, or you're working from home and you can have a little cheeky one. This is a reverse wrap from Root, and that's gone all the way for 6.
Wow.
Down towards deep third. It was premeditated. It was just a normal length delivery just outside the off stump. Oh, what a shot that is from Joe Root. He smiles at Neil Wagner as well as Wagner comes down in his follow through. Cheeky but effective. 100 up as well. England 100 for 2.
That is ridiculous. That is a T20 shot that Joe Root has just pulled out over third for 6. Played it so well. We saw it at Trent Bridge. He did it off Tim Southey, didn't he? Third ball of the day. What was that, day 4, day 5? Can't remember, but wow, that shows the confidence that Joe Root's got in his batting, and quite remarkable. So he's done it to Wagner, he's done it to Southey. Finds the bowler. I'd be angry. And I hope Neil Wagner is, because that's generally when he's at his best, when he's in the battle. There was a wee smile on his face. Joe Root was sort of smiling, but Neil Wagner needs to get in the battle here. He needs to fire up. thumb shot.
Unbelievable. It wasn't straight off the middle of the bat, but just enough wood on it to go all the way for 6. Wagner has a few words. Root just smiles. Bracewell to continue then from the far end. And Pope works it round the corner past that short, fine leg fielder. Gets a single. Root back strike.
What New Zealand could do is bring another fielder across. Williamson could straight out there mid-off, have a cover. So then it'll be a 5-4 field. So there's still 5 fielders on the leg side, which is the way the ball's turning in towards the right-hander. Majority of the ball's going to be hit through the leg side. But to me, that would just be a little bit of a safer option for the bowler.
Bracewell in once more, and this is left alone down the leg side by Root, starting on sort of Midland leg and spinning further down the leg. Root 22 from 38 at the moment. Looks in the mood. As Bracewell is in, it's slightly short, it's pulled away in front of square on the leg side. There is a sweeper out there, so he will cut it off. It will be just the single. 102 for 2.
Still hasn't quite got the consistency that New Zealand are looking for here, Michael Bracewell. Hasn't been 2 or 3 deliveries in the same area that have forced the England players to defend. There's always been a ball that they can score off.
Bracewell outside the off stump this time. It's just dabbed down into the pitch by Pope, who's looked impressive here. 37 from 48. He's looked assured. He's played some nice drives. Bracewell has created 1 or 2 opportunities though. As he's in again, reverse sweep by Pope this time, and that's going to race away. Is it for 4? No, well fielded. Neil Wagner running around from that deep backward point position. Cuts it off, they get through for 2.
Oh, there's more reverse sweeps being played here than conventional sweeps.
So it's an orthodox shot now, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
Doesn't surprise us at all. Final ball of Bracewell's over is worked away to short mid-wicket. No run. Dot ball to finish that one off. England chasing 296 then are 104 for 2.
On the SEN app, check out the SENW channel with stars of women's sport at home and abroad. Daisy Pearce, Katie Brown, Stephanie Brance. Plus, on the SENW channel,
We cover AFLW, Rugby League, W League, netball, cricket, and track the female stars of horse racing and more.
for the latest news, interviews, and catch-up podcasts with the biggest names in women's sport, jump on the SENW channel. Download the SEN app now.
SENZ Test Cricket for Racine, the Paints Kiwis Trust. Looks as though Neil Wagner is set to continue here from the Kirkstall Lane end. England needing another 192 runs for victory. They've got 8 wickets in hand. They've got Joe Root still out there. Ollie Pope's hitting it well. Partnership worth 53. Jacob Miller looking increasingly stressed about the lack of options for New Zealand here as Neil Wagner runs in once more. It's full, it's defended well by Root into the offside, and there is no run. I mean, we hark back, don't we? I know we've covered this ground, it's old ground, but team selection, just lack of options, and this is the kind of time in an innings where it just starts to show you 20 odd overs in, ball's not doing an awful lot, and you just run out of ideas. There's not enough variety out there.
Well, there's not. Well, how many wickets has Jack Leach picked up? 10?
10
Yeah,
in the match.
2 5-wicket bags. That's your answer right there.
Wagner in again, and Root just knocks it back to him in his follow through. He feigns with a shy at the stumps, does Wagner. Maybe those are just signs.
Needs to get
What we're
angry.
talking about, yeah.
Once he gets angry, Nikisha gets into it. Here's Johnny Bairstow next in for England, talking to Brendan McCullum, waiting to bat.
Well, Macca, you weren't a front line bowler as such, but even as a sort of, more than a part-time bowler, but not a regular bowler, if you were reverse ramped for 6, surely that would fire you up enough as Root defends this one into the offside. Looks for a single. Wasn't on. I mean, that even me as just a lollipop bowler, if that happened to me, I'd get angry. I mean, come on, that should be enough, shouldn't it?
Well, I've seen a lot less fire Neil Wagner up over the years, so I'm actually surprised that.
Well, he just smiled, didn't he, almost at Root?
Maybe he's mellowed. A couple of children the last couple of years. I just wonder whether he's mellowed a little bit.
We all do with age, don't we, I suppose?
Needs to get in the battle, though. That's when he's at his best, Wagner.
Charges in once again. In full delivery, just outside the off stump, just knocked towards points by Root, no run. Crowd getting into it once more as well. All the chants are coming out from the Barmy Army, the trumpets in full force. I love it when their boy Joe Root is out there. Although they've changed their name on their social media channels to Johnny Bairstow's Barmy Army now.
All right.
Flavour of the month.
So they just flipped between the two Yorkshire boys, Root and Bairstow.
Up here they certainly do, yeah. Bairstow in the form of his life at the moment as Wagner runs in again, and this is Root defending. Was it pad first? Was it bat first? A polite inquiry for LBW, but he's miles outside the line of the off stump once again, and even if they wanted to go upstairs, they're not going to at this stage. Those two reviews burnt off those two deliveries, consecutive deliveries from Tim Southey a few overs ago, and I had a good time of it. The Black Caps out there, all the DRS.
Joe Root just held the position there, almost egging them on to try and use that third review.
Wagner, and again, this is a little bit wider, and Root drives only as far as short cover, and Wagner falls over in his follow-through here. Did he slip? Did he twist something?
Oh, it doesn't.
He looks in pain. He looks in agony, actually. He's a big, strong man. He gets a few pats on the back as if to say, get on with it. Come on, chap. Get up on your feet. Doesn't look happy, though. Hopefully he's not done too much damage or torn any ligaments or anything just below his ankle. Either way, it's the end of another over. England 104 for 2. That target 296. Macca, you're going to stay on. A few more thoughts from you, and then Prakash Wakanka will replace me.
Well, New Zealand toiling away hard. They really could do us another wicket or two tonight. Joe Root's the key, isn't he? He's played beautifully for 23. No surprise by the look of things that Michael Brace was going to be given a spell. Trent Boult, New Zealand's best bowler in the first innings and so far the series, is going to come back into the attack. Have to break this partnership. And while there is a lack of options in this New Zealand bowling attack, Kane Williamson has to keep chopping and changing until he finds someone that's having a good day, or he can find someone that's going to pick up a wicket. So, good option to bring Trent Boult back into the attack this late stage of the day.
Again, he's coming on to bowl from the far end, not the end from where he sort of made all that, caused all that trouble and mayhem in the early part of the innings in the first dig that England had. 104 for 2. England looking solid position right now. When Crawley was out, there might have been just a little bit of a stutter. Here's Boult now. Can he change that? And Boult defends to a ball that's cut the length, getting up about chest high, defends on the offside.
Just wonder if some of those footmarks are coming into play. You saw Neil Wagner fall down after his last delivery. Now Trent Boult starting around the wicket to Ollie Pope. And it's just having another wee look and digging out some of those footmarks. So it is late on day 4, and generally that's when holes and unevenness develops around those footmarks, and it can be quite difficult for some bowlers in terms of working on their ankles and stuff. So just wonder if they're coming into play, making life a little bit more difficult for the bowlers.
Indeed, difficult and dangerous too, as here's Boult bowling and defending by Boult back to the bowler, because you could cause yourself some serious injury, couldn't you?
Yeah, you can, and you've seen it over the years where bowlers don't have that firm footing, or it's uneven, so the ankle comes into play. You see a number of bowlers go down when they haven't got that solid grip. So interesting to watch Wagner next over, because he took a heavy tumble after that last delivery.
So he's not done any serious damage. As Boult, meanwhile, comes in and bowls, and this one's down the leg side, taken by Blundell.
Sort of get the feeling, Prakash, that it's a good time to be batting now. The ball's 25 overs old, so a little bit on the softer side. There's no swing, no real deviation. We haven't seen too much in terms of up and down bounce. We saw it occasionally for the England bowlers, but they tend to be bowlers that hit the deck a bit harder than the New Zealand bowlers. New Zealand bowlers just kiss the deck rather than going into it. So it's a pretty good time to be batting. It doesn't look like it's going to be that easy to find another wicket.
Well, Bolt now reverting to over the wicket. Is that going to make a change? Comes in and bowls to Pope, who pushes it away nicely in the gap on the offside. The ball hits the practice pitches. It travels. He won't go all the way. He'll come back for a brace comfortably. So 2 more to the England total and 2 more to Pope. Pope's up to 41. The total now 106 for 2. Bracewell had, I think, one really key opportunity where the ball kissed the top of Root's bat, wasn't it? And then realized that Mitchell was, I think, in some ways not learning from Root's own experience. That first slip, a bit too wide. Could have been a very, very important moment in the game. This one's hooked away nicely.
Oh, good fielding.
And brilliant fielding. Really, really good fielding there. Wagner's a real trier, isn't he? I mean, anything he does, you just feel that he gives 110% of himself, saving 3 runs for his side there for sure. 107 for 2.
Yeah, he's lion-hearted, is Neil Wagner. You'll never question his commitment, dedication. That one just kissed off the outfield. He was at full stretch, and he threw his body. He's in the middle of a tough spell. He threw his body to the right, saved New Zealand 3 runs.
Brilliant. I want to see commitment, see that replay. Pushed away by Root on the onside, not for runs, Latham Fields. Yeah, Bolt's not looking quite in the rhythm, is he? From what we saw. The end of that over. It is 107 for 2.
Does Kennard's make trade easy? Kenoth. Is iced coffee liquid gold milk straight from the udders of heaven? Kenoth. Do tradies deserve special treatment like a 2-hour delivery promise, equipment swap and service on site, and express load and go service, and heaps more at that local Kennard's higher branch? Kenoth! Head to your closest branch to get the trade easy experience. Kennard's make your job easy.
Problem. Well, you've got the man with the big hammer there now, Phil, trying to fix the bowling foot marks.
Yeah, there's always something.
Yeah, he's really giving it a go, thumping it away.
Yeah, it's like he's fracking, trying to drill through to Chile.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, we're talking about it in the light of rain. It's absolutely no child play or no joke for the bowler there, because there's so much risk of injury above everything else. All that body weight going through and the weight coming onto that ankle as you hit down. If you don't have a firm grip there, you could do yourself some serious damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see, though, that Neil Wagner is able to continue after that nasty fall in the previous over. So heartening to see. They need him to crank it, really, because with an hour and pretty much an hour on the nose to go still this evening, they need something to happen.
Here's Wagner in, and it's cracked away, backward of point, 4 runs. Went for it, threw everything at it, went along the ground. Maybe not quite where he wanted it to go, but very, very effective anyway. 4 more runs to Pope. He's inching up towards 50 now. Those 4 runs take him to 46, and England 111 for 2.
Yeah, big, wide, inviting half volley, and the thing is, there's no one on the boundary anywhere on the offside. There's no one behind square down at deep third. You got a slip and a gully and a backward point and a short cover. But at this point, with the ball going now ramrod straight, I mean, it's no longer moving really off the straight very much at all. Pope is going to climb in.
Wagner bowls and Pope drives again on the bounce, taking a short extra cover, no run. In fact, it's interesting, you look at the field, you don't think that it's a team defending 296 having already seen the opposition get to 111 for 2.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and there has been that sense, just talking off air actually as well, with a couple of the New Zealand lads, and there is that sense that Williamson's captaincy has been a little bit uninspired in this game.
There's Wagner in again, goals, and this one's driven to the left of the man who fielded the first ball. That was Saudi. This time it goes out towards Bracewell at cover. No run, but maybe Wagner's just looking to set Pope up. He's bowled 3 balls which have been sort of wideish, drivable, and then maybe he'll try and bring that one back into the right-hander. We'll have to wait and watch.
In the first innings, at a certain point, he'd actually got more swing through the air than either of the big two.
In he goes again. Goals, and this time Pope is dabbing it away on the offside. Once a run, Root is not interested, sends him back, but early enough to ensure there's no cause for panic. Nelson on the board.
Yeah.
New Zealand will be hoping that'll work for them.
Well, something needs to, because as I said, with an hour to go, they need to pick at least 2 up, I would say, to still be right in this cricket match come tomorrow morning. 185 more needed still for England. They need to go bang bang before the end of the evening.
Yeah, they need a couple more at least to keep the interest alive. Balls driven firmly, but finds Bracewell at cover. Does Pope, and just the way that Pope is easing into his drives, it gives you a clear indication that the ball isn't doing much at all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's bullet straight now.
I mean, except for that 1 over or 8 balls really from Tim Southee, where they blew, well, I should say blew at least one of the reviews. And the second one was worth it. It was fairly close. But other than that, there's really been no period of time where the ball has even remotely looked at dominating. Here's Wagner bowls and firmly driven up to mid-off. It's fielded by Kane Williamson. No run. 26 overs have now been bowled. It's 111 for 2. Pope is now 4 short of his 50 and Root on 23. What about that? I don't know how to describe that. Reverse for 6 by Root.
I was going to come to this. I was in the press box with the writers when that took place. And you've been in a million press boxes, Prakash, in your time. There's sometimes a kind of a somber atmosphere, right, among the bedraggled fourth estate. But everybody just gasps, involuntary gasp, and thrown back in their seats by the crazed magnificence of it all, really. And then you start to try and process it, and you take the game situation into account, and the fact that England are, under a little bit of pressure, and Root had barely got going in his innings. And then you start to think, it's one of the best shots you've ever seen in Test cricket.
Defended on the offside.
When he did it, when he did it at Trent Bridge last week, he was 120 odd not out when he did it. And it was a bit of a showboat shot on the third or fourth morning, and England were looking to make quicker runs and get a bit of a lead. This is not that situation.
It's not, but I think it's got to do with if I may, the supreme confidence probably that's now flowing through this team like blood through their veins. They just believe that they can get away with almost anything they want. This one's defended on the offside route. They're walking down the pitch and defending into the covers.
Yeah, brilliantly summed up. They believe they can get away with anything. That is exactly it. But then when you start to deconstruct that particular shot, then you start to think, well, to nick it, you'd have to be a little bit unlucky because you're catching up with the ball. There's nobody down at deep third. So then, amidst the craziness, it starts to, like a kernel of logic starts to materialise and reveal itself.
Completely round the wicket, bowled balls, and this time Root has a bit of a nothing swish. Now that's the one thing that you sort of feel that Root might have just had a momentary lapse there. Just wanted to run it down. He would have got maybe one, maybe nothing, but there was risk in that.
Yeah, that's his one area where he's a tiny bit fallible. It was giving him so many runs in one-day cricket and, of course, in Test cricket, but he doesn't get across to it. He doesn't smother it. Trent Boult, meanwhile, he's such a joy. He just turns on his heels and gets back and does it again.
Comes and bowls, and Root this time looks to play an expansive drive on the offside, thick inside edge. Ball squirts away behind square. And there is the opportunity for a quick single. 112 now for 2 in the 27th. Yeah, Trent Boult, I mean, I've just admired him all the time that I've seen him. He's just such a fantastic A, athlete, B, exponent of what he does.
Yep.
And you just feel that he's got such a level head on his shoulders that nothing seems to faze him. He goes about his stuff and the mastery that he has over it. Now he's into bowl to Pope. And this one comes in and Pope defends back along the track. Boult fields.
Yeah, he's an uncomplicated soul. Happy to kind of chat. Very amenable, very genial. No histrionics.
Well, to be honest, I mean, you really have to rack your brain to think about anyone wearing the black Kiwi logo on their shirts or sweaters to be able to think of someone who's not been sort of a gentleman cricketer. There still are that one side that always, I feel, breakaway now is bowls looking for the full ball, played away to mid-wicket, no run, who just seem to ooze gentlemanly conduct.
Jeremy Coney can tell us a story or two.
Well, I'm sure there is the odd example.
Of course.
But it's not something that you worry about with New Zealand, unlike some other sides. More thoughts from you, and then taking over from me is Daniel Nockels.
Yeah, thank you, Prakash. England ambling along here, 112 for 2. Ollie Pope within another crisp, skittish boundary of a Test match 50. It's looked okay, I think. A few edgy, twittery shots initially, but he's settled into his work quite nicely, I think.
Just looking here on the Chemist Warehouse screen, Trent Bolt's average swing has gone down from first innings to second innings and seam. And as a result, the full shot percentage has gone down from 30% to 13%. So it's gone down from 1.9 degrees to 1.2 of seam and 1.3 degrees of swing to 0.9 Saudi. It's Ian, that ball's worked into the onside. They get a single for it as Root just accessed the gap between mid-on and mid-wicket.
Yeah, any number of factors, I guess, behind that. But one obvious one is that they were dream swing bowling conditions here. A bit muggy, a bit close.
It's a bit blustery, isn't it?
And it is blustery today. And that's no friend of the swing and seam bowler, really. Also, workload as well.
Yes.
Trent Bolt had no rest, really. Okay, he's only bowling 24 balls every few days in the IPL, but there's still an intensity to it.
Saudi into Pope, clips this into the onside, straight to Young at mid-wicket. There's no run.
Jumped off the plane. I think he had 2 days in England. Straight into the Lord's Test match. Bowled beautifully, of course. But he's shouldered the burden throughout this series, and although he's a naturally fit boy, it's next to impossible to keep coming in hard constantly, day after day after day.
He won 23 overs, didn't he, in the first innings as well? So, you know, the New Zealand collectively bowled very few overs, but he bowled 23 of them. And Saudi, 22 of them.
Saudi owes him a bit, really.
Pope comes down the wicket to Saudi, then defends a full ball into the ground. Saudi fields off his own bowling. There's no run.
He's a curious player, is Ollie Pope.
He is a curious player.
He's the embodiment of Ian Bell, and I'm not talking about how he picks his bat up or the way that he plays an off-drive, because I don't think there's a massive amount of similarity actually in the way that they play. But physically, of course, temperamentally, immensely.
Yes. Saudi is into him, and he drives, gets a thick inside edge, and that's rolled down to the boundary for 4, and it brings Pope his 50. He's smiling about it. He wouldn't have been smiling if he'd tracked it back onto his stumps. The crowd rise. It's the 9th time he's gone past 50. Twice he's turned them into hundreds.
Yeah, he's played okay there. 9 fours. He's a boundary hitter. There's a crispness to his stroke play when he's playing well, but a particular shot. Firstly, hard lines. Tip south, you can't really catch a break in this series. Very hard lines. I mean, that was within a whisker.
It was. Saudi into Pope again, and Pope drives into the offside. It's half stopped, so they'll get through for a single. Half stopped by Bracewell in the covers.
Better shot. But have you noticed how his back foot sort of slips, sort of jolts out? When he plays a cover drive, Ollie Pope, his back foot jolts back in the direction of square leg.
I'll look out for that.
As if he's just kind of like a tango move, you know. A milanguera, I think it's called.
Ooh, a milanguera?
I think it might be called. Yeah.
You know, when you, with your Terpsichorean knowledge.
Yeah.
Saudi is in through the keeper. There's no run. Did you do a bit of the old dance in the school?
No, at school? I went to school in Essex, mate.
Yeah, well, Billy Elliot and all that.
I did actually go dance lessons when I was a kid because my mum was a dance teacher
Oh, I see.
and my dad was a guitar teacher, and I was a nipper, so I had to go somewhere. So I went and did dance lessons for a few years. And my mother, from the age of 4 to 7, and my mother, genius move, genius parenting. She said it will improve your cricket because of the balance, and it'll improve your football.
Well, Mark Ramprakash was a different player after he was on Strictly Come Dancing.
That he was. He wasn't a bad player before that either. But yeah, it's a curious move on Pope, but he does lose his balance a bit on those drives sometimes as a consequence of it.
Pope is into Pope who pulls, but without timing. On the bounce, it goes to mid-wicket. No run.
I did spend a few months in Argentina, so I have tangoed.
Did you now? Did you now?
Yeah, I went
to it.
No, I went travelling, mate. The old sabbatical. Took 6 months out of this caper and yeah.
How lovely.
Did the Inca Trail in Peru.
Patagonia. Homage to Patagonia.
Yeah, backpacked all the way down to the foot of the world, and then came back up again.
Wow.
Yep.
Pope in, defended by Pope with the inside half of the bat, and get a single as it rolls to, well, where deep square, backward square leg would be, but keeper blunders chasing after the ball. 19 for 2. Pope to 52.
Joe Root's reverse swept 6.
Unbelievable.
One of the top 5 cricket shots ever played in a Test match.
Yes.
Might be.
Might be.
Ludicrous.
One knee, absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yes, I had the pleasure of calling that ball next door, and I don't know that I could have done it justice. Really,
you can't. Whatever you
just
said,
made a sort of squealy noise.
You could have. What? You could have sat in a room with 10 great writers for a week and not come up with a sufficient explanation for that thing.
It was insane, wasn't it? Short, pulled round the corner, and a deep backward square leg. He hasn't seen it, Wagner, initially. And I'll get back for a couple as he makes a sprawling stop on the boundary. 2 more to Root. 27 he goes to. 121 for 2.
It's going to be feeling a bit ominous, isn't it, for these New Zealand players who have, been through the ringer really in the last few weeks. Every single hinge point, every clutch moment seems to have gone against them. They had Joe Root nicking through that gaping gap between the keeper's right hand and the left foot of first slip. It was comically too wide, really, but baffling to me. You would think that there wouldn't be any deviation in that. You would think that you just stand where you need to stand against an off spinner who's bowling quite quick through the air. But anyway, I've done that one.
I've been baffled by that all day.
Yeah,
I mean, Root did it himself.
Indeed, yeah,
twice.
Yeah, there's always a streak of village in every cricket game, of course.
Do they call it that in New Zealand? Do you think?
Or village?
Village. Yeah. Built bolt in. That's worked into the onside, and there is later on. Just take a look at that in the Chemist Warehouse screen. I just saw Bolt walk straight down the pitch. Straight down the pitch. Trying something.
Well, yeah, why not? It's not exactly Shiner Freely pirouetting all the way down.
No.
It's a Boltian version.
Yes.
He's lovely, isn't he?
He's absolutely lovely.
What a joy to have watched him this summer.
He's in now. And that's what a shot that is from Root. How do I describe that, really? He gets a signal for it, no more, but he was thinking about doing the hard pull, and in the end he's just allowed the ball to sort of deflect off his bat and go fine down the fine leg. How much of that was deliberate, I don't know.
Entirely deliberate. Entirely deliberate. He's just paused just to let the ball just run off the face, in effect.
Fine on the leg side.
Yeah.
Not a shot you see very often, and therefore one quite doesn't really have a name. One has to work it out. The Root glance. Bolt in outside the off stump, left alone by Pope. That is the end of the over, the 29th of the innings. England going along nicely here. They're 122 for 2.
With the rise of resistant worms on Australian farms, are you using a sheep drench that works? Demand the best from your drenching program. Drench your sheep with StarTect. Purchase 3 StarTect 15-litre drenches from your nearest Nutrien Ag Solutions store and claim your bonus Safeguard Cargo Net this autumn. If you demand performance, then choose StarTech for your sheep drench and stay a step ahead of resistance. Ask for StarTech at your nearest Nutrien Ag Solutions store while stocks last.
Welcome back. Test cricket at SEN and SENZ with Razine, the Pets Kiwis Trust. England going along a bit too comfortably for New Zealand's liking. Pope 52 into middle overs. The ball's 29 overs old. It's not responding the way Bolt and Southey want it to. Southey starts a new over and Root defends. Fullish ball on off stop. To short extra cover, there's no run. 45 minutes to go. Might get 12 overs in. That's the overs due to be bowled today. What we won't do is we won't get a result today. So going back tomorrow, and 10,500 free tickets have been given away.
Yes.
There are 7,500 still up for grabs, or there were about half an hour ago. That might have gone down.
Sorry, so how many have they shifted?
10,500
Already. That's great.
Southey runs in. The ground bathed with sunshine is pulled by Root round the corner down to the boundary for 4. Super sharp, but right on top of it. Kept it along the ground, he moves into the 30s. There's a soaring home crowd signalling 4s wherever you look. 126 for 2.
It's a rather forlorn drag down, though, isn't it? Medium fast now. Bullet straight. This ball starting to get a little bit tired, and so are the New Zealanders. It's one of the more futile elements of Test cricket, banging it in on a slow one against Joe Root.
Southey in, tucked into the onside out to deep square leg. They'll amble through for an easy single. Root to 33, 127.
That perhaps Kane's time as the boss may be coming to a natural conclusion. He said this before the start of this Test match. And while I would begin to be able to be qualified on such an issue,
Southey in to Pope, who pushes off the back foot to the backward point region. It's parried, but not sufficiently to save run. Well, maybe save a run, a couple of runs. They get through for 2. It's a sort of sprawling diving stop by Devon Conway. And Pope goes to 54, 129 for 2.
Yeah. Nonetheless, it's been a bruising 12 months since that high water marker at the Rose Bowl down in Southampton. That amazing, peculiar game of cricket that crowned New Zealand as the best Test team in the world. It's been a tough 12 months since. Kane Williamson's ongoing injuries with his elbow problem, and a 3-0 as it's looking like here.
Southey in, left alone by Pope, quite close to the off stump. No run.
These conversations are only going to be ramped up, aren't they? And I wonder if the kind of innate conservatism that marks the way that Williamson has built this team may actually be limiting in the longer term for them. I don't know who you scout around and look to replace him with. Tom Latham is cut from very similar cloth. They have, according to more informed folk on this call this week, he's very much like Williamson.
Southey in. It's a pad. That looks close to me. That looks very close. Southey likes it. Umpire Kettleborough does not. The ball runs off the pad down the fine leg. They pick up a leg by Kane Williamson, who had 2 reviews burned by Southey. He's now going to ask himself whether he wants to risk another one. They need a breakthrough. They look like a decent shout. I think Williamson's about to be convinced. No, he's not. No, he's not. Well, this will be very interesting on the Chemist Warehouse replay screen. I can tell you that for now.
It might be clipping the top of leg.
Let's go and look at this. He gets
probably a wee bit too high, though.
Oh, it's hit the bottom of the thigh pad, but he's not a very tall man, isn't Pope? His leg was at a bit of an angle. I think Southey's saying it's probably height. Here we see on the ball tracker. It was missing, so well done. They've avoided losing their last review. It's going about an inch over the top.
Yeah, but obviously they can't gamble because they're burnt to, incinerated them.
They have it, yeah. They haven't, yeah. Incinerated is the word. It was shocking. The first one was especially poor.
Yeah. The first one was an embarrassment, really.
The second one was quite bad because you do want to make sure that your impact at least is umpire's call, not outside. Bolt starts a new over and is pulled. First ball down the deep backward square leg. It's running away towards the boundary. Good bit of relay fielding in the end. Wagner manages to throw it back in. 2 more to the total. 2 more to Pope. He's on 56, 132 for 2.
Yeah, look, these are the hard times where the yakka gets out of hand. Another day in the dirt.
The hard yakka.
Yeah. And another run rate, best part 4.5 and over. Bairstow and Stokes still lurking, yet to emerge, of course. And yeah, it's tough times at the moment.
Bolt into Pope, who reaches for a wide ball. Nearly need to play out at all. He sort of scoops it on the ground to Southey in the covers. There's no run. 132 for 2. The target just 164 away. 8 wickets in hand. The problem, one of the many problems for New Zealand, is they're not going to get a second new ball.
The TV producer on our monitor, he knows his cricket, or she. Ajaz Patel.
Bolt in, gets a bouncer. Does Pope lets it go by? Yes,
Ajaz Patel in the luminous training kit, the top, about to run on with a drink.
The thing is, you see, Phil, that I thought Ajaz Patel had quite a nice technique with the bat.
Yeah,
beautiful, given that all the runs are coming from Mitchell and Blundell, once you've picked them, you don't need another batter.
No.
What you need is a bloke who can...
It's a false economy, is what it is.
You would just keep... You could wheel him on and on, couldn't you? Bolt in, that's guided to backward point by Pope just outside the off stump. Goes along the ground, there's no run. Now, I'm not sure, do you think there's going to be another drinks break here? 38 minutes to go in the day's play.
Been a long session, so possibly.
Might be a 2-drink session, you mean?
Yeah, they make it up as they go along there.
They really do, yeah. They really do. It confuses me terribly.
The Western Terrace has blown itself out, it would seem.
It has. Bolt in, driving his Pope, gets a single for us. It goes to the right of extra cover, the left of mid off. Yes, the Western Terrace has sort of melted away, isn't it? Why would you do that with 38 minutes to go? 133 for 2. Pope has 57.
My guess, Dan, is that a lot of them were here yesterday, and a lot of them have snapped up a freebie for tomorrow as well.
Right. And they thought, that's fine. Here's Bolt. It's a route to pulls out to deep square leg in controlled fashion for a single. That is the end of the over. Root has 34. England 134 for 2. No sign of drinks, so we might get lucky here.
Indeed.
10 overs to go.
Yeah. The contrast in captaincy styles couldn't be more marked. This has been a conventional attempt to contain England here. There hasn't been a field that goes beyond being the established norm at any point that I can recall. Ben Stokes' trunk of funk, if you like, is constantly open. It's spilling all over the dressing room.
Funk.
But Kane Williamson, he's got that trunk under lock and key, isn't he? And that's the way that he's built this team. It's attritional, but it's also quite conservative. And against a team that are playing its shots, as England are.
First ball of a new over. Root glides it down to the fine leg. Root wants his second initially, but realises it isn't there as Bolt does the fielding. He's very nimble across the turf. He's old Bolt.
He's a brilliant outfielder.
35 for 2, he really is. Sadly for him, he'll probably be best remembered for treading on the sponge in the World Cup final when it comes to his fielding, but that's very unlike him.
And I know it's difficult for Kane Williamson because this is a relatively flat pitch, and his 3 quicks have done some hard yards, although of course